Really? Again? Oh. Can you guess where we are today? Go on, have a guess. You'll never guess. Ah, it's Scotland. See, I knew you wouldn't guess. More specifically, we're on our way to Glentress Forest in the Tweed Valley. I'm riding with Graham today and we're going to head out into the forest to ride the Red Trail. We're beginning at the visitor centre and we're going to climb all the way up to Spooky Wood, which is where the fun starts. From the visitor centre, we're straight onto tarmac, but that doesn't last long. After a few hundred metres, we're climbing on single track, which keeps us away from the forest road and all of the dust thrown up by traffic heading up to the Buzzard's Nest car park. After riding Spooky Wood, we'll follow Super G, Hit Squad Hill, Pie Run, Mushroom Pie, Magic Mushroom, Tourist Trap, Sair, Fecht and Falla Brae all the way back to the car park for the highlight of the day, the free jet wash. I know what you're thinking, but if you skip straight to the jet wash scene, you're going to miss some amazing trails. Cool Runnings is the first real descent on the trail. Following this section means that we're going to lose a lot of altitude and we're going to have to do a bit more climbing to reach Spooky Wood, but it's all part of the game. If we missed out Cool Runnings and stuck to the fire road, we'd make it to Spooky Wood climb in no time without losing height, but that's not really what we're here for. For us, that's the end of the downhill for a good while, and we've got a bit of a monster climb ahead. For you lot, however, thanks to the wizardry of post-production, you get to enjoy a snazzy little montage with some funky music, which will take you straight to the fun part. Forget the jet wash. This is the real highlight of the Red Trail here at Glentress. Spooky Wood is a juncture. This is where gravity turns in our favour. From here on in, the rest of the trail is largely downhill. There are a few sections where we'll have to climb, but the toughest bits are behind us. From start to finish, Spooky Wood will take around 3.5 minutes. Whilst that doesn't sound like much, if your legs were burning at the start from the climb, you'll be feeling pretty rough after spending all of that time out of the saddle, pumping your way down the trail. My advice would be to take a break back at the bench, wrap up warm and take on some food and fluids before taking on Spooky Wood. Putting in all that effort to get here, only to find that your legs have given out midway through the best bit, is pretty disheartening. By the time we make it to the end of Spooky Wood, my legs are really beginning to feel the strain. It's fair to say that, at this point, I'm really just a passenger and I've got little choice but to hang on. Up next is Super G. The trail starts immediately after Spooky Wood, so you'll often find groups of riders on the fire road taking a few minutes to recover before pushing on. Super G offers a little less flow than Spooky Wood, but it's a little more technical, so you'll probably be on the brakes a bit more too. There aren't any exquisitely arranged rock drops like there are at some points on Spooky Wood, but you will find some rooty corners that'll keep you on your toes in the wet, as well as a rockier trail surface. There's nothing really to pose any threat on Super G, providing you take it easy, but going hard in the wet may give you a new kind of buzz, followed by a crunchy graty slide and some recovery time. When you reach the end of Super G, you've got a couple of options. You can carry on and follow the red trail down Hit Squad Hill, or you can switch to the blue trail and ride that back to the visitor centre. Switching to the blue trail means that you can ride Motorway, Blue Velvet and Burn Baby Burn, which will bring you back to the Buzzard's Nest car park. From there, you can stick to the blue trail and ride Electric Blue down to Falla Brae. Once you're on Falla Brae, you can fork and continue to ride the blue trail, finishing on a section called Good Game, or you can stay on Falla Brae and finish on the red and black grade sections. Today we're going to stick to the red trail, so we're moving on to Hit Squad Hill. The beginning of Hit Squad Hill is, well, flat, but thankfully it doesn't take long before it perks up and starts to become more interesting. The gradient soon takes a turn for the better, and the trail suddenly becomes a lot more compelling. The last part of the section is a long, fast descent, at the end of which is a corner that's just rooty enough to make we come out of riders who approach it in the wet with too much enthusiasm. Fortunately, today at least, dry routes mean dry pants. At this point, we had a choice to make. Instead of choosing to ride Pie Run, we could have followed the left fork of the Fire Road a little way behind us and climbed up to a section called Matrix. From the end of Matrix, we could have joined Lombard Street and eventually followed a Fire Road back to the end of Pie Run and then onto Mushroom Pie. Having ridden both options, I think Pie Run has a lot of character. It may mean less single track overall, but I quite like the way that it snakes tightly between the trees and over their roots. It's short, but it's a technical treat. Where Pie Run ends, Mushroom Pie begins. This section of trail is short, but it's also entertaining, much like the delightful Kylie Minogue. Mushroom Pie contours across the hillside, then down towards another fire road. Beyond that fire road is a section called Magic Mushroom, which is our last descent before we begin the climb to Falla Brae. I say descent, but in truth the gradient is slight. Don't think that's a criticism though, it's not. It doesn't need to be steep either. In fact, in some parts you'll find yourself on the pedals, possibly trying harder than you'd like to maintain pace, but it doesn't matter. Like Pie Run, Magic Mushroom has character. Early on, the canopy overhead is dense and it's dark. but as we make our way down the trail the canopy opens and the overt charm of the forest manifests itself. From here we don't have far to go before we reach the end of the trail. With Magic Mushroom behind us, we've now got a brief climb that will take us along Tourist Trap and Sair Fecht. Then it's on to Falla Brae. This is our final descent, and when it's done, our Weekend Warrior adventure will be just a memory, and a 13.5 minute long upload, but you get the point. Balls. Oh. That really hurt and my head hit the ground with some force, but don't worry, I managed to count every one of my fingers, so I probably don't have one of those percussions. These days, it seems like every time I go for a ride on my bike, I end up on the ground in agony, time after time. It's just a vicious cycle. I usually like to wrap up with something poignant, so if there's a lesson to be learned from today's outing, it would probably be rubber side down, or possibly weight over the back wheel, or something similar. Maybe even, if you ride alone, who's going to call the ambulance? Think of it as a multiple choice conclusion. You can grasp the point that resonates with you the most and embrace it, or make up your own. I'm easy. If you've got one, leave it in the comments. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you do, and you click the bell icon, you'll be amongst the first to know about new Meant for Descent content. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you'd give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.